Okay, guys, welcome. I'm hanging out at the lab right now, and I wanted to show you a little bit more advanced technique, a little glimpse of what happens when you're doing a full-on software production. As you know, we have our software Leaflet, educational software that we're developing at Oddly and testing with a willing group of students right now. And I just got an email, so I want to take you into that and show you a build process. So let's take a little look here. Okay, so here's my email, and I see a note from Adam that I have number 38 assigned to me, Oddly Timbat. So what does this mean? Well, if I click through to it, it's going to take me into this area of GitHub. Now, what is GitHub? Well, GitHub is basically a versioning software. What it allows is for distributed teams to work together. In other words, to put it simply, you're not always going to be in the same place at the same time. So in those circumstances, you need something that will allow each person to operate independently but still coordinate with the group. Let's take a look at what's going on with this one. So this is a pull request. Now right down here, you can see this little notice that says some checks haven't completed yet. So what has caused this pull request? Well, if I jump over into LeafletLearning, let me go ahead and log in. Here we go, and I'm going to go to the most recent lab, and I'll show you a small difference that you might not have noticed yet if you are helping us out with the testing of this software. So I'll go into the completing the MVC cycle lesson. And inside of here, typically, as an instructor, in my view, I would see my students featured at the top with a little star and some indicators of whether I have feedback from them or whether I have given them their proper review and so forth. And those have kind of disappeared. Now I can show you why. Let me jump maybe into taking a look at Sunny's project here. This is looking good. I can see what Sunny has been up to. But what I want to bring your attention to is the URL, because now we have in the URL a course code in front of the lab code. And this is significant because yesterday we had a code jam, and we were, three of us, building a feature that allows the software to now support multiple courses rather than just one. Now that's a fairly significant update. It's very possible that bugs could be introduced. So if we take a look back here into GitHub, this little notice saying that some checks haven't been completed yet, these are automated tests. Every time we make a change, we have what is called a continuous integration server set up. And that server is running a bunch of automated checks. It's testing all of our code and trying to find basic bugs and problems with the code or things that might be broken by what we've just done. But the particular bug that I'm seeing here, if I go back, well, you can see that it's not causing the thing to crash. So it's more of a UX bug. I'm expecting to see this nice user experience that will show me my students. Now, technically, I can still get to all the students, but one of the features that we had working, even though it doesn't technically break the thing, has a problem. So when I noticed this, the first thing that I would do is jump into GitHub, go to the issues area here, and you can see this nice red tag where I have logged that there is a bug. Now, I can take a look in the code, and I can find the area that I think is the problem, and GitHub allows me to select that particular line, and you can see that the URL here gives me a unique URL that I can use back here in the issues area, which I've done, to say that this is where I think the bug is. Now, because this is a fairly urgent bug for me, I can assign people to look at it right away. And over here, you can see that I've assigned both myself and I've assigned Adam. Now, I was going to dive in and start working on this bug, but Adam got to it before me, and he has already created a fix, and he has created what we call a pull request. So the pull request is Adam, or whoever fixed the bug, asking for another developer to take a look at it. And so because he beat me to it, now I get to do the job of looking at the fix and testing and seeing if it worked. So this will let me show you the second part of the process. Back on the pull request here, I have the option. We can now see that with the little time that's passed, all the automated checks have passed. And if I wish, I could just click on this green button and merge the pull request, but that would be bad. Bad developer if I do that, because I haven't actually tested it. And I should never really be, even though Adam's extremely experienced, I'm sure his fix is totally fine. Stuff happens, and I should never ever assume that the fix is correct without testing. That is why he does the pull request. He could have put it up himself, but he is asking for some help to make sure that it's okay. So for me, I like to work in an online IDE called Cloud9. So I'm going to head over into there, jump into it, and I'll show you how I can start up a server and test this fix that Adam has made. So we'll just take a second for Cloud9 to load up everything. So Cloud9 is similar to CodePen, but for full projects. It's a more advanced development tool, but it's based on the same idea that you can write your code online and share it and be collaborative with people. I like to use it because I frequently work with training and providing a little bit of mentoring to some of the less experienced developers, and I really like to be able to get in there at the same time with them and write code together. It's a super helpful way to learn. Okay, so I have to do a couple of things in here. Right down here, I have access to a little terminal. This is a fully functional terminal inside of here. So I'm going to do a few things. First off, I'm going to type in git status. Git status basically tells me if the branch that I'm working in is out of date or not. By branch, I'll show you shortly how useful branches are when you're working with Git. Now, notice here it says timestamp submissions. This is the last feature that I was working on, but that isn't what I want to take a look at. So what I'm going to do is say git fetch. And this command is going to talk to the remotely hosted Git, which in our case is GitHub. This is called the origin. It's going to talk to the origin point and say, hey, are there any new branches, any new features that people have been working on? So I'll go ahead and do git fetch. It's going to ask me for my credentials. This is how we protect our code. Here we go. And look at that. So we have 2 new branches. Generally, each branch is for some particular feature that we are working on. So I can see that there's a new one called Fix Mentors in Submission List. So I am going to switch over into that branch right now. So I will say git checkout fix mentors. What was it? Fix mentors in submissions list. It's good to have very descriptive branches. There's no, I have no hesitation that this is what I need to look at. And as simple as that, it has switched me into this branch. Now, if you're watching very carefully, you can see that the code actually changes here because Git is going all the way through this project, finding any little change that has been made and updating my code. So I now literally have the exact same code here that Adam would have on his system. Awesome. So the next thing I want to do is fire up a server that will let me actually see this code running. In other words, hosting for this. Obviously, I need this to be separate from the live version of the site. We never want to be working directly on the live version of the site. So instead, if I jump back here to GitHub and I go back to the main code, you can see we have some nice documentation here. And one of these commands here is to fire up a development server that can serve this software and allow me to test it and see if the fix is working. So back to Cloud9, and I'm going to jump over here, and I'm going to pop that in there. There we go. So I can kind of talk through this little line here. What it's saying is use the environment called Atom. So Atom is basically our development environment, and it's using a developer database rather than the live database. And then we have the command webpack dev server. Well, webpack is the tool that is basically going to launch this small development server that can serve up a site and serve up the pages that I want to see. And then the last couple of flags here are specific to Cloud9, the environment that I'm working in. If I was offline doing this, I wouldn't really need to do those things. So let's see if we can get this going. Now, as soon as I hit enter, you can see content is served from, and it's building modules. And so this is basically running all the build tools that are necessary in order to launch this site. So if you've been working in CodePen and you've been doing ES6, you would remember that we always use the Babel preprocessor when we're doing ES6. And the reason we do that is because not every browser can do ES6. So Babel pre-processes that code into a form that can be served up by older browsers. Babel is one of the tools that are running here when I start up this server, and there's quite a few more as well. There's so many useful tools that you can use in a build process. But at the end of the day, we can see that Webpack is saying the bundle is now valid. So this means that I am free to preview the running application. Now I am going to copy this URL here because I want to bring this up in a new window. And I'm going to do it in incognito mode so that I don't have any caching. There we go. And loading. And here we go. So now I have a locally running version of the site that is completely separate from the live one, and it's fully functional. I can log in. The screen is looking nice, eh? I'm loving it. There we go. And just like I did before, I'm going to head on over to Lab 10 and take a look. And lovely, the fix is there. I am seeing the stars. The students that I'm personally helping in this lab are sorted to the top, which is wonderful. I'm going to take a quick look at the console just to make sure I'm not seeing any strange bugs showing up. Yeah, it's looking okay. I'm not seeing any kind of problems. In fact, I see this little note here where it says getting mentees for, and then that's my unique ID in class SAA. And if I check the URL, I can see that yes, it is class SAA in the course INM 220. So it seems like we have squashed this bug. I'm fairly happy with my testing here. So that being the case, I can now take this fix and commit it to the master branch. And when I do, those changes will automatically be put up live. I won't have to FTP any files or any kind of time-consuming process like that. So I'm heading back into GitHub. I'm going to go back to the pull requests, bring up the fix, and I'm going to go ahead and merge it. When I merge it, it is going to take the new code, bring it into the live version of the site, run all the checks again, and when it's done, push it up live to the site. So I'll click on Merge Pull Request. And a good idea is for me to put a little note here. I'll say tested and fully functional. I will confirm my merge request, and pull request was successfully merged and closed. Bug squashed. So now that that's done, I'm pretty safe to delete this branch, because you'll often make a branch just to do one fix or one feature, and when it's done, it's good to clean up after yourself, and so I will delete the branch. Perfect. Now if I go up top, I can see that it gave a number. This is merge number 38 into the master branch. So a good idea would be for me to go back to the issues right in here, and I'll put a little note saying fixed and merged. And this basically completes the cycle, so I'm going to close with that comment. So I click on that, and if we go back to the main issues page, you can see that that issue is now gone, and we have had 13 successful closed out issues, which is awesome. So that is your kind of whirlwind tour of the way that a team will work collaboratively using tools like automations and versioning tools like GitHub. And so this is a pretty darn good software development process. As you get a little bit more familiar with code, you're going to start adding on some expertise in the use of these tools. And then you are really going to be able to integrate well and work with teams, as we are doing at Oddly Studios. So that is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little glimpse into the back end, and I will see you soon.